Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. It's Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Satuda. I'm in LA, he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. On today's episode, we'll talk with Variety's Todd Spangler on the collision of AI and white-collar jobs in big tech. 14,000 layoffs planned at Amazon will take a bite. And then we'll hear from Jennifer Maas on the growth of Dropout. That's an independent streamer that taps into underserved fan niches like out there improv comedy troupes and the Dungeons and Dragons crowd. The company just implemented a price increase and no one complained, as Jennifer explains. But before we get to that, here's a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. Spotify delivered a heck of a third quarter when it comes to engagement. They jumped up to 5 million paid subscribers, bringing total paying customers to 281 million. Monthly active users jumped 11% to 713 million. Engagement was impressive, but advertising revenue was soft. South Korea's CJ E&M is trying to do more business in Taiwan. The company has set a $30 million content development fund with the Taiwan Creative Content Agency, Far East Tone Telecommunications, and pay TV broadcaster TVBS Media. Variety is on the ground in Taiwan covering the busy Taiwan Creative Content Festival where this news was announced. Australia has implemented content quotas for non-local streamers in a bid to boost its local production economy. The government has passed a bill that will compel streaming platforms including Netflix, Disney+, Amazon Prime Video, and Apple TV Plus to invest a predetermined amount of their Australian revenue into locally homegrown programs. My colleague Naman Ramachandran has all the details. And finally, R.I.P. Diane Ladd. She was a great actress who embodied a kind of tough, smart, savvy, post-war American woman who was nobody's fool. Her relationship with daughter Laura Dern played out in the public eye for decades, and you never saw anything but love and respect exchanged between them. That is a proud legacy. All of these stories and so much more can be found on Variety.com right now. Now we turn to conversations with Variety journalists about news and trends in show business. Next up, Variety business editor Todd Spangler unpacks the wave of layoff news unleashed last week by big tech firms. Amazon delivered more than $20 billion in profits in the third quarter, and it's still cutting heads by the thousands to brace for the AI revolution to come. Todd Spangler, thanks for joining me today.
Hello.
Well, Todd, you were chained to your computer all last week dealing with the avalanche of big tech earnings reports. And this time around for big tech, it was a very newsy frame. You have a story for this week's edition that looks at the juxtaposition of everybody talking about AI, everybody trying to invest tens of billions of dollars in AI, and of course, the wave of layoff notices that we also saw last week. The big number that has stuck in everybody's mind is 14,000 white-collar jobs are going to be eliminated from Amazon. As I often say to you, Todd, what's really going on here?
First of all, the tech companies are trying to get ready for what they see as just future wave of AI coming. So they're investing heavily, including Amazon, billions and billions. And Meta, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, they all raised their capital expenditure estimates for the coming year because they're investing more in data centers to power AI applications. Now, at the same time, Amazon said that they're cutting about 4% of their total white-collar workforce. 14,000 jobs, that's a big number. And this came after a memo that CEO Andy Jassy sent to the staff in June saying, we're going to get efficiency from using AI, and that's going to result in a net reduction in our corporate headcount. So that's how this came down. And then on the earnings call 3 days later, Jassy maybe had second thoughts about looking like the vanguard of AI-driven layoffs. What he said on the call was that this was not really AI-driven, not now at least. He said this is about culture. basically saying that they overhired during the spike in demand that they saw during the pandemic. And that produced more layers of job functions that they can make more efficient.
14,000 jobs. That is quite a preemptory strike. Did Amazon or any of the tech companies give any like concrete nitty-gritty examples of AI is allowing us to do this, so we need far fewer people in this area of our business?
That no, they haven't gotten that granular, but certainly it improves their efficiencies on writing code.
Which is probably one of their most labor-intensive things that any tech company does, right?
So they can do millions of lines of code a lot more easily. Now, the techno utopian school of thought says, hey, this isn't necessarily going to result in job declines, even though Amazon said this will free up their ability to hire people to do other tasks and grow the business overall. We'll see how this all shakes out. And Amazon did indicate that more cutbacks are going to come next year. And again, Amazon isn't hurting financially. They had enormous profits, more than $21 billion for the most recent quarter, up 38%. So they're not cutting heads because they have to. They're trying to stay agile as this AI tidal wave is coming down the pike.
Let me ask you about Meta, Facebook and Instagram. I've been reading the reports that Mark Zuckerberg is writing gigantic checks to bring in AI talent. Meta is an interesting company because they played a little bit in the area of content and original programming, and they pretty quickly retreated. But do you get any read that this huge investment that they are also making in AI is going to maybe bring them closer to the content business?
No, I think for now, they have a very profitable business, not producing original content or acquiring it. So I think for Meta, a social media company primarily, where they're really leaning into AI is on content moderation, where they can scan, millions, if not billions of user posts to make sure that everything is in compliance with their policies. So I think they're going to see real efficiencies there. Will this result in headcount reduction at Meta? We'll see how it all nets out. But as you point out, they're staffing up on the AI front. They need people to run those things, actually. So, one area shrinks and another goes up. Right?
Exactly. As you point out in your story, this thing called Google did not exist before 1998, and today it employs almost 200,000 people around the world. So I think what we are going through is the definition of Joseph Schumpeter's creative destruction. Todd, what do you think all of what's going on with big tech, how is that going to impact big media? I mean, these are two sectors that are frenemies.
I think everybody wants to operate more efficiently. And how you get there are a lot of different paths. I think efficiency for a studio might mean taking advantage of AI to do things with fewer people. But, we hear a lot of this sort of rose colored glasses chatter of like, AI, hey, it's just another generation of tools, technology that lets filmmakers execute on their creative vision faster and more easily and more flexibly. That's true, I'm sure, but I think AI and the kinds of generative AI advances that we're seeing are like no technology step change that we've seen in history.
What a time to be alive, and we're the lucky ones that get to cover it. Variety from the get-go is an irreplaceable chronicle of the advancement of mass media, and we are but small contributors to this 120-plus year history. Todd, thank you as always. Now we'll hear from Jennifer Maas, Variety's senior business writer, about the independent streaming service Dropout. It has a rabid fan base that is literally asking to pay more for the service. I'm happy to see some semblance of indie activity in a sector that is increasingly consolidated. Jennifer Maas, thanks for joining me.
Nice to be back.
You had quite the compelling lead on a recent story of yours about the streaming service Dropout, something to the effect of fans are finally getting what they ask for, the chance to pay more for the service. Jenny, bring us up to speed as to what's going on with Dropout. You've been tracking their growth, and tell us about the milestone that they just hit.
So they just crossed 1 million subscribers, which is something to be proud of for an indie small streaming service. This is not Netflix. This is not Disney Plus. This is a small service that has built itself from the ground up from the ashes of College Humor. College Humor rebranded as Dropout in September 2023.
And they've had pretty steady subscriber growth, as you've been reporting.
Steady is how I put it, which is still remarkable at this point. So what they did interestingly this month is earlier this year, they increased their price by $1. They went from $5.99 per month to $6.99 per month, or $69.99 for the year. And so looking at that, they had heard good feedback, which is remarkable when you raise your price to hear good feedback. We're
Usually that
saying,
brings screaming, howls,
yes,
cancellation, fire the CEO.
exactly. And so they actually then used in a marketing announcement to announce this new tier. They used all the social media posts where people were saying, I would love to pay you more money. I would love to pay more for this. This is great. Your content's great. So they said, okay, we're launching a super fan tier. It will cost you $129.99 annually. You will get a few extra things here and there. You'll get like access to exclusive merch. You might get like early access to ticket sales. Dropout is the home of Dimension 20, the D&D show, and they took over Madison Square Garden and sold it out. So if they do more things like that, they said you could get early access to those kind of tickets. But mainly here, that's it. They're just giving you an opportunity to pay more as you asked for, because you won't get any exclusive shows that someone on the regular tier doesn't have access to. You could get maybe like a behind the scene look here and there, but they've made the promise that what you get on Dropout is what you'll get on Superfan, and you're just getting the opportunity to pay more as you asked for.
Now that's a fandom.
Yeah.
Is there a sense of ownership among the fans, that it's the fans that have allowed Dropout to succeed, and therefore we're going to kick in an extra 50 cents, $1 to support this platform? From your reporting, I know that they even took a swing at the Emmy race this past year.
Definitely a sense of ownership. CEO Sam Reich was part of the original College Humor and actually is the one who bought the company when College Humor was shuttered by Barry Diller's company, and he bought it and built it all back up. The people you saw in these videos, probably a great deal of nostalgia for most millennials. These are the videos that you sent to each other on YouTube before there was Dropout, showing your favorite College Humor personalities. And you knew these people parasocially. But that's a huge element of this, that they are internet first people. I mean, when they made this announcement, when they made their price announcement as well, instead of doing it like Netflix or Disney Plus where they send a press release or they do it on an earnings call, Sam just posted on Instagram and he did it himself directly to the fans. And he said that was really important to him to do it that way so that they know this is not just a business move, that they're very cautious about this kind of thing and they don't want to upset fans. They really want you to stay on board with them.
Let me ask you to take a step back. What is it about Dropout? What is it that you and other fans just love so much?
Largely, it's comedy, right? Like, they're very clear. We are a comedy streaming service. Fans of improv love it. And that's a lot of it. They have game shows. They have Game Changers, a huge one for them. That was the one that they went the hardest with for FYC stuff. And I think eventually it will break through because it's a totally different kind of thing from like a Wheel of Fortune or a Jeopardy, these like stalwart things where this game show, the game changes every time, and that's the format of it, and the players don't know what game they're playing and have to figure it out as the game goes on. Like, that's a very interesting concept. You know, the D&D community is huge because they have Dimension 20, similar to like a Critical Role game. D&D is a huge audience, and it's underserved by traditional media, and that's what Dropout has. They're offering something that genuinely isn't being offered elsewhere.
So I have no doubt that Sam Reich and others involved with Dropout, but I have no doubt that their phone is ringing with acquisition offers, because anything with Mojo is going to get the attention of the heavyweights. When that phone call comes in, what do you think they say?
It's a really good question. We don't know, but at the moment, I think they're very happy with what they have. And they'd already been burned before, like Barry Diller's IAC, that almost led to the end of them. So I think they're just too plugged into their fans right now and too plugged into this like underdog growing community that they would be willing to do that right now. Come back to me in 3 years. We'll see what things look like.
In a world where the majors are more consolidated than ever, this is certainly one of the most prominent independent outlets out there. And so I love that we shine a light on it. That's our job as journalists. Jennifer Maas, thank you.
Thank you.
As we close out today's episode, here's a few things we're watching for. There's a bunch of interesting TV series rolling out in the next couple of days. Today marks the debut of All's Fair on Hulu. It's a legal drama from the Ryan Murphy shop, top-lined by Kim Kardashian. On Wednesday, Sarah Snook of Succession fame returns in All Her Fault, a limited series on Peacock. And on Friday, it's the reunion of Ray Seahorn and Vince Gilligan for Pluribus on Apple TV, which looks very intriguing. Before we go, congrats to Sean Barber. He's joined Paramount Pictures as head of domestic theatrical distribution. Barber spent the past 18 years as a senior executive at Lionsgate and Summit, working on The Hunger Games and Twilight and many other big movies. Thanks for listening. This episode was written and reported by me, Cynthia Littleton, with contributions from Todd Spangler and Jennifer Maas. Stick, snakes, hick, picks. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice, and please tune in tomorrow for another episode of Daily Variety.